When Kid Buu first appeared on the screen, his mission statement was to blow up the planet. And it was in that moment that I knew, yeah, that's him. That's my guy. Unfortunately, the people over at SH Figuarts must not have liked that as much as I did, because they never got around to making that version of the tiny pink menace. Thankfully, Tonsenart Toys is here to right that wrong with the release of the Adolescent Malevolence, aka Kid Buu. What's going on, folks? Kinda Collecting here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, if this is your first video, again, welcome. And if you've been here before, you know the drill, so what up, oos? Hey, real quick, stop right there. Look. Listen, I'm super excited to finally get to do this review. It's been almost a year in the making. So if you're just as hype as me, comment finally down below. So a quick disclaimer, just so I'm being fully transparent, I'm gonna be a little more lenient when it comes to this review. And that's for two reasons. One, this is a third-party company and there's no source to work with or borrow parts from. So everything that's here was built from the ground up. And two, this is Tonsenart Toys' first venture into the realm of full figure making. They're not a multi-million-dollar corporation and there's not years of experience to go off of. And for an independent company to even be able to pull off a project like this is an accomplishment. Now, I'm still gonna rate it and give it the proper context and respect it deserves, but any criticism I give about this figure should be taken as nothing less than constructive. Overall, the sculpt from head to toe, again, is all brand new, so there's gonna be hiccups along the way. But as long as you go in with the proper expectations, it's a really nice figure. He looks just as terrifying as Kid Buu did when he first appeared on screen. The amount of accessories he comes with is super impressive, and with a little bit of patience and minor modification, the articulation is really good. But enough talking, let's get into it. The main thing that stands out to me about Kid Buu wasn't just the fact that he watched our Z-Fighters, that's part of the course. Heck, every time they see a new challenger approaching, somebody about to get their hands put on him. Most times it's Vegeta, but it was the fact that Earth's mightiest fighters were getting that work from something with the build of a 4th grader. A soft-palmed, no muscle having, minimal reach throwing, too short to ride this ride child. And Tonsen was able to capture that design almost perfectly. There's a few articulation points that affect the overall design, and not in a good way. My biggest criticism about the design is something so physically minor. Now, a lot of images of Kid Buu will show him slumped over, head drooped down, very poor posture. It also makes him appear like he doesn't have a neck. But whenever he's standing straight up or in motion, his neck is a lot more visible. And I can't help but think that Tonsen chose the slumped over look to reference because the head on his figure sits a little too low on his neck. A very slight adjustment to the height would have made a world of difference. Aside from that though, they really delivered on the proportions on Kid Buu. Everything from his tiny toned arms to the slight muscle definition within his gummy torso and down to his baggy pants, Tonsen was able to knock it out of the park. As you'd expect from Tonsen, the detailing on the head sculpts are phenomenal. All the line work within the sculpts really bring the character to life. Combine that with the pinks contrasted with the black and gold, and this figure feels like an official licensed release. So all in all, the details are great. That one hiccup with the neck is a little upsetting and it'll come more into play when we talk about articulation, but if we're talking pure details, Buu gets a 4.5 out of 5. Now I gotta give it to Tonsen. When it comes to accessories, they did a phenomenal job of not only giving us quantity, but quality as well. They also gave us some unique accessories that you wouldn't typically find in the official lines. And to start things off, he comes with 7 pairs of hands. He's got the Mink Minks, a pair of Key Blast hands, a pair of open palm graspers, a pair of finger pointing hands, 2 roasting hands, and 2 special hands, a middle finger salute, and an open palm hand which holds a peg for his blast effect. Now, I think they would have been better off just molding that peg into his hand, but instead they glued it in, and mine came loose, so fair warning, be careful. His Planet Burst effect comes in 3 pieces, and when they're combined, it makes for a great visual. He also comes with a whole swirly torso piece to replicate that time when he taunted Goku and Vegeta. And when I talk about unique accessories, this is what I mean. You don't get these kinds of effects with SH Figuarts. Now I will say, though the accessory is cool, it doesn't stand on its own, so they could have done a better job flattening out that bottom. And last but not least, the Adolescent comes with 6 head sculpts, all of which look really good. There's his stern face, a gritted teeth sculpt, his sinister smile, a shouting head, a goofy face, and his sleepy time head. And between all these faces, I can't really choose which one I like best. The stern face is iconic, his sleepy face is a treasure, and I can practically hear the shouting coming from its open mouth. But if I had to choose just one, that gritted teeth sculpt is top tier. So by no means does Tonsenart skip on the accessories, and because of the mixture of quantity and quality, they get a 5 out of 5 easily. Now, I'm not the articulation guy, and POAs mean absolutely nothing if boo can't boo. So with that being said, my very first copy had QC issues out the wazoo. The joints were too tight, the torso was too loose, and when I went to rotate his wrist, his gauntlet popped off. Thankfully, I ordered a second copy, and that one's joints were tight too. But it's nothing a little oil from DStarToys.com can't fix. Now that we got that out the way, his head can tilt up and down, but not that far back. Full 360 rotation, tilt left and right is nice, and there's a little movement at the neck. Very little. The head sitting low on the peg really prevents the articulation from being great, but he still looks up pretty well. It's just that aesthetically it's ugly. The arms can hit a high T-pose, the butterfly joints are phenomenal going forward, backward is just okay. There's full rotation at the shoulder, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and swivel at the gauntlets and wrists. The torso articulation goes forward, backward, swivels, and technically it can fully rotate around since it's designed to pop off. Now the crunch forward could be a little bit better, but if you work with it a little bit, it'll get the job done right before it pops off again. The legs can hit the splits, kick high a good amount, not so much backward, really good thigh swivel, and bend at the knee is really nice. It has a slight boot swivel, and look at the whittle toe articulation. So if we were rating the articulation based off my first copy, it would have been rough. Thankfully, the second copy was there to redeem itself, so articulation gets a 4 out of 5. Now, posing time. Now, other than being able to articulate well, the other major factor Tonsenart had to get right with this guy was his scale. And I'm happy to say he nailed it. So let's stand on next to a lot of other figures to see exactly how he matches up. And we have to start with the SH Figure Arts, Majin, and Super Boo. Now, the pinks may be a little mismatched, but I don't mind that too much because the scaling is on point. He meshes so well with his counterparts. Next up is the SH Figure Arts, Hercule and B. And yeah, Mr. Satan, this Boo is not your friend. Next are a couple of kit bashes. On the left we have a Goku with the head taken from Demoniacal Fit and the body from Beast Deities. And on the right we have the SH Figure Arts Majin Vegeta with the head sculpt from none other than Tonsenart Toys. These three scale great together, but I'll move on because I can tell that Boo's ready to put the hands on Vegeta again. Now we can finally complete the Final Form Z villains. Here's the SH Figure Arts Final Form Frieza and Figure Rise Perfect Cell. Now maybe Boo should be shorter to be closer to Frieza's height, or maybe he just ate his vegetables. Salute to our short kings. Here's how Boo stacks up with the SH Figure Arts Krillin and GT Goku. And to round out our Dragon Ball section, here he is next to the Figure Arts Armored and Full Power Broly. No, they never interacted, and no, I don't care. I love Broly, and I love Boo. Next, I decided to put him up against some figures of the same age bracket, but not really, because Boo's like 1,000 years old. Here's a Sentinel Miles and Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse. Here's how he stacks up against a couple of other fighting figures with the Jada Toys M. Bison and Jada Toys Ken. And if you're wondering, yes, instant wash. And for some more import comparisons, here's a couple dudes he can yank by their capes with the Revoltech Superman and Mafex Hush Batman. And here's how he stacks up against the two besties with the Marvel Legends Deadpool and Astonishing Wolverine. Now I don't know what it is, but something about this comparison brings me peace. And lastly, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Dragon Stars Kid Boo for holding it down during the interim while I went through these reviews. He ain't the cutest, he ain't got the best articulation, but damn it, he was in the trenches with us. With that being said, Tonsenart will easily take his spot in the collection. And overall in the scale department, to no one's surprise, Tonsenart gets a 5 out of 5. Hey man, what more can I say about this figure other than I really love this little dude. Now I try not to get my hopes up too high for figures because you just never know with a lot of these companies nowadays, but after waiting nearly 12 months for its release, it was hard not to build up the anticipation. Now I can't fully ignore the flaws, and it will come into play with the final score, but I want y'all to keep this in mind, especially with third-party figures. Each figure is going to have its own unique features. But before we get to the score, let's talk pricing. The entire Kid Boo kit can range anywhere between $50 and $80 depending on where it's available. Now if you can get him closer to that $50 range, he's worth it. Version A is a little more scarce than version B, but both AliExpress and Anime Store are great sources to check out. So pricing gets a 4.5 out of 5 from me, which will put the overall score at a 4.6. I can't tell y'all how great it is to finally get a beloved character in figure form. It's something that collectors dream of. Now that does it for today's video, but in the comments let me know what character are you looking forward to seeing the most from these third-party companies. For me, it's the Beast Deities Broly, no question. Stay tuned for the shots at the end, and until next time, protect your peace, stay young at heart, and remember, we're all kind of collecting something. Peace.